Okay, let's call a meeting to order. And let's look at the minutes for the last meeting. Do we have any additions or corrections?
Nope.
I have none.
How about the public? Does anyone have any changes or corrections? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
minutes are approved. Okay, Derek, you want to do the background thing?
Yep, certainly. All right. In 2017, the residents of the Newman Lake Flood Control Zone District presented the Spokane County Board of Commissioners with the petition to appoint a Board of Appraisers to reconsider, revise, and/or reaffirm the classification and relative percentages of the parcels within the district under RCW 86.09. The objectives of this reassessment are for the Board of Appraisers to take a fresh look at the parcels contained within the boundaries of the district and determine or reassess the benefits each parcel derives from both flood control and stormwater management undertaken by the district, and then based on those benefits, reconsider, revise, and/or reaffirm the current classification of each parcel with respect to each of the two purposes of the flood control zone district. In performing this reassessment, the Board of Appraisers is tasked with identifying every parcel that derives any benefit so that the assessments fairly distribute the costs of the district among as many benefited parcels as allowed by law. At the end of this reassessment, the Board of Appraisers will provide the Board of County Commissioners, acting as the supervisors of Newman Lake Flood Control Zone District, with a new base map and land descriptions, outlining the classifications of the different lands on the base maps, on the base map based on the relative benefits derived separately for 1, flood control, and 2, water quality. This new base map will be used to levy assessments on those parcels not otherwise classified as non-benefited based on their relative benefit ratios. This is about the 15th meeting of the BOA, and after collecting background information and visiting the Newman Lake area and properties and discussing proposed changes, preparing an initial draft map, they have proposed a final draft benefit map for public review. Alrighty.
All right, thank you, Derek. Excuse me. We've received 3 comments, written comments. The first indicates that they feel that the costs of the district should be absorbed by the county or the state as a public lake, and asking for an explanation of rationale, which I think is well covered in our statement of classifications that we approved some time ago. The second, the duck's quacking there. There we go. The second gets back to taxable versus market value. A comment on that is, and it probably was our fault in terminology, is that state law requires the assessor to value properties at market value. Now, in some counties, they call that assessed value. In other counties, they call it market value, as opposed to what some counties call taxable value, or current, and others use the term current use value. In Spokane County, market value and assessed value are one and the same. Current value is the basis for levying the ad valorem real estate taxes. So what we have here in Spokane is market value equals assessed value. And currently, it's being done on a current use value. And we are recommending market value and or assessed value as the basis for the assessments. Another one, which is beyond our scope of work, but complains about the county not notifying each of the property owners individually of the changes, which would be a pretty big task. Another one commented on the estimates that were published by the county on the assessment roll. These are, and Derek, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are only estimates based on the 2022 numbers, and the 2023 numbers are not available at this point in time. Is that about right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
The mock assessment was the methodology used in the past with the new benefit ratios as recommended or as revised by you.
Yep, okay. Also, it talked about the formula used. Again, that is beyond the scope of our duty. I don't know, Derek, you want to go through that, or is that something that you can do later?
Yeah, I have the document that I sent to you. It's what's in the policy and procedures manual, and I believe we've shared it before. I can share my screen and show
That'd be
you.
great.
Okay. Okay, you seeing it? Oh,
Not yet.
there we go. So I just changed it and replaced assessed with market. But this is how the assessments have been calculated in the past and how they will be continued to be calculated.
So I've gone through this, and there doesn't look to be anything that should raise any red flags or anything. I mean, it just looks like it is the way it should be. Can you write on this? Do you have a way to write on this? Can you draw a circle around something?
Yes.
Can you draw a circle around that percentage?
Right here?
Yep. Okay, so that's what we're working on. Everything else in this formula we have nothing to do with.
Correct.
And if you show the second page of it, then this shows the actual calculations for flood control and water quality. And what it boils down to is that your assessed value times the percentage gives you the numbers on the left, the 31,985. And then the division here is your property divided by the total of all the properties in the data set. And the answer is then how much you would pay for flood control in that example. So the important numbers that have anything to do with us is how you calculate the 3195. And if you go back up to the previous page, so on the maps, you can determine what your percentage is when it comes to flood control, agricultural properties that are downstream or 100%. So that number would be one. For properties that are not on the water, for houses that are on the water, they pay 50%. So that number would be 0.50. And we could have changed that to 60% or 10%. And after discussing it, we chose to leave it at 50%. And I'm hoping that just going through this very, very briefly will help community members understand what's going on and what we are impacting. And the house is a individual property's assessed value, which is the assessor's estimate of market value. And we have nothing to do with this. That's a given to us and to you. I guess that's all I have to.
Okay, thanks, Larry. Yeah,
One, Gary, I'd like to make a quick comment. Just adding to this, where we have the percentage circled in red times the house, really that should be the house and land. It's both. It's not just the house, it's house and land. I think we understand that, but just so the readers or the public is clear, it's house and land. It's the total property value.
yeah, exactly. Total market value, assessed value, land and buildings. Okay, takes care of that. The final mapping has been done and changes that were done at our last meeting have been incorporated. Do we have a motion to submit the maps as our final conclusion to the county commissioners, along with our classifications that were previously approved?
May I interrupt, please?
Go right ahead, Reese.
Thank you and good morning. I did chat briefly with Mr. Valencia yesterday about there are some logistical issues that we will need to address prior to the map being formally submitted to the Secretary of the Board of County Commissioners. As you may recall, there is a requirement that once it has been submitted to the Board of County Commissioners for action, there is a publication requirement, and then also that the hearing must take place within no less than 25 days, but no greater than 35 days after the map has been submitted. So I just wanted to confirm that with Mr. Valencia, maybe he knows that if the map is submitted, that the Board of County Commissioners will be able to meet in their, and it would need to be in their hearing room, probably at the courthouse, if they're going to be available to do that.
I would think so. I can check with the clerk real quick, but we should be able to make that timeline with our commissioners regularly scheduled meetings right now, but I can go check real quick. I'll be right back.
And secondly, with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, you will need to open this up to public comment prior to taking any final actions.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, once the motion is made and seconded, we'll open it up for discussion. And Ron's gonna get back to us on the timing. Reese, I think we can't we conclude our deliberations and you can work out the timing later?
Well, we would just need to make sure that if you finalize your deliberations today, what then the statute requires that the base map will then be filed with the Secretary of the District. So if you are moving to finish this and submit the map, we have to make sure we fit within that time frame that everyone will be available then.
So what date is 25 days from now and 35 days from now?
Well, 30 days would be the 13th, wouldn't it? I don't have my calendar because I got the whole screen on this.
Freeze, is it 25 days or 25 business days? Typically for the commissioners, we set our hearings around business days.
Say that again, Ron?
I was asking Reese, is it 25 just days, or is it 25 business days that we're obligated to hold a public hearing?
Right, and I'm sorry, I may have been muted when I started answering the question, but under the RCW, it reads that the meeting shall be held at the office of the district board in principal place of business, shall be held no less than 25, no more than 35 days. So it does not specify business, it simply states days. And the publication requirement, where we would need to publish the notice of the hearing, requires 3 consecutive weekly issues. So again, I'm of the belief that it would just be 25 standard days as opposed to business. That would be my reading.
Okay, and that's pretty standard in our office to get all that out.
Pardon?
That's pretty standard business for our office. Our clerk deals or handles all the public. That's
Great.
routine.
So do we then want to have a target date for the meeting and back up from that for when we finalize it?
And I would have to leave that to Mr. Valencia, since he has far more knowledge about the BOCC's availability.
Okay, but can't we conclude what we're doing today?
Not until we talk to the public.
And well, if we can get a motion in a second, we'll go talk to the public. But I'm asking Reese if we can't conclude this as our final recommendation.
Again, what we just need to just make sure is that within that 10-day time frame, that the BOCC would be available to hear it as required. If they are available and we can set a date and provide public notice, for it, then you could submit your the base map to the clerk or secretary, which would be Miss Vasquez, and then that would start that 25-day clock.
So wouldn't we, when we've got a finalized map, we'd send it to Derek and Derek would take care of getting it to the right person at the right time?
Yeah, I mean, logistically, yes, you could. You don't have to like hand deliver it, but it needs to make its way. Really, as soon as it's passed, it would need to be done pretty immediately thereafter, given to Ms. Vasquez.
So I have a question. Can we even get on the Board of County Commissioners agenda without something being finalized? I mean, we're kind of in a catch-22. We either need to finalize it or we need to be on their agenda so we can finalize it and we have a date.
Yeah, well, if we're anticipating that it's going to be done today, then logistically it would work. But that is correct. If we left the meeting, concluded it today, and hadn't taken a formal decision, made a formal decision, then it would be a little premature to put it on the BOCC agenda.
So by my calculations, we have until August 17th to hold the public hearing if the appraisers approved it today, right? It's 5 weeks.
Yeah, as if that is the end of the 35 days, then yes.
Yeah.
And I don't believe there are any holidays that would affect that either. So yes.
Yeah, the clerk just said that's enough time to get it noticed. It would probably be on the tail end of the 35 days.
Okay, as long as we're within that 35-day, 25 to 35-day window, we would meet the statutory requirement.
Okay, yeah, I think we're good to proceed.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we could go ahead and finalize it today.
If that is the decision of the Board of Appraisers, yes.
Okay. All right, do I hear a motion to finalize or that we submit the mapping as our final recommendation?
So moved.
Second?
No, I think we have to talk to the public first. Why
We will
don't we?
talk to the.
I don't understand why we don't, I guess.
We will talk to the public as soon as we get a second. We'll open it for discussion.
And what if someone says something that makes us need to change something?
We will vote down the menu, the motion.
Okay, second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion to submit the mapping as our final recommendation?
If you'd like to provide comment, raise your hand, or you utilize the raise hand function on Zoom. If you're on the phone, it'd be *9. I'm not seeing anyone raising their hand.
And again, I know that I sent you an email earlier, Ron, but can we just for the record verify that there's no one out at the firehouse that is requesting to make a comment?
Is it Jacob that's out there?
Yes, Jacob is out there. I spoke with him earlier. He said there was nobody. But
Hey, can you hear me?
yeah, we got you, Jacob.
No, we do have someone out here actually now.
Do they wish to provide testimony?
The waterfront lands that are in open space, there was assessed evaluation done by the state or the county.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you're asking.
Waterfront property that's in open space, special tax category. Are these evaluations set by the state or set by the county?
They would be valued by the assessor, they'd not be valued by us. If I'm understanding your question,
It would be valued by the county assessor.
yes.
Designated forest tax category is set by the state. Those values are,
Everything is assessed by the county assessor. There is no state assessor.
I have about 4,000 acres, 4,000 feet of waterfront. The value is set by the state.
How do you know that? What's the basis for that statement?
And I have both designated forest tax and I have open space taxation.
I think you're referring to those tax abatement proposals that are available in every county. The enabling legislation is done by the state, but they're based on assessed values. And in those cases, the assessed values are modified by a percentage that's common to all properties in the program. And I don't know if it varies from year to year, the percentage.
Thank you.
But it would be that percentage time the assessed value.
Okay, do we have any other public comments?
I am not seeing any.
Well, let's just give it a couple minutes here and see if anybody wants to talk.
We're kind of early in the meeting to be at this stage. Maybe people aren't anticipating. You know, I have kind of a tangential question that maybe we could talk about while we were waiting.
Go ahead.
So I'm assuming that along with submission of the maps that we're going to submit something in writing. And I vote to recommend that Brian write it up.
That's quite kind of you, Larry.
Well, you know, you've turned into a good buddy, so.
Yeah. Only if I can have Gary's cat join me.
Did you see that thing, cat half up on the desk?
And
Okay,
I'm wondering,
sounds
you know, we're not supposed to have interaction in between these meetings. Is it possible that he comes up with a draft and sends it to Derek, and then Derek sends it to us, and we can make whatever changes we want, send it back to Derek, and Derek send it to Brian? Is that legal, so to speak?
Well, again, if you take any type of final action regarding something, I mean, you can look at it individually and make comment, but you would have to likely adjourn a hearing so that you could effectively approve the recommendation before sending it off. To agree amongst yourselves that something could be sent in addition to the base map would be taking a final action on a matter. And I believe under the Open Public Meetings Act, you would be required to have a hearing, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I think we're really in transmitting it to the commissioners. We really only have to say a couple, three things, and that's one is, transmitted herewith is our the mapping and our classifications. And the only other thing is we recommend using market value, and beyond that, I don't think we need to get into any further details. We're just saying what has already been approved and happened at public meetings.
We had discussions earlier about recommending that the water quality be, those assessments be spread over everyone in the county under the fair and equitable provision of what we were asked to do.
Which we did not approve that.
And I don't know if that would be legal to do so with the provisions for the flood control district. The costs, I believe, need to only be contained within that district and not outside of it. You would effectively be expanding the border of the flood control district. And unfortunately, this board does not have that power.
Yeah.
No, I was just thinking that we made that as a recommendation to the county commissioners. And they can do whatever they wish with that recommendation. And as I understand it, they would have to get a change in the state law.
I believe that would be correct. I mean, by law, the only thing that you are required to transmit to the Board of County Commissioners is the base map, which contains the ratios that you've determined for the land within the district. And I understand that we will send actually two base maps, one for water quality and one for flood control.
Will we have a chance to be at the meeting and to testify?
Oh, I would imagine you would have that ability, and I imagine that the Board of County Commissioners would welcome your attendance.
Well, what do you two guys think about all this stuff? Is that a summary statement?
Well, Brian, I'll take the burden off your shoulder. I'll write a memo to the county commissioners and outline our recommendations. Okay, the motion is to finalize the mapping. Been moved and seconded. I don't see any more public comment. I think we've waited a reasonable time. All those in favor, say aye, or raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any other topics we need to cover?
Did we already make a motion on the benefit ratios themselves? And the justification sheet?
We already, approved that at last meeting before.
Okay.
Lays out our rationale and the classifications, and that should probably accompany the mapping when it goes to the commissioners. And Derek can handle that. Derek, should I address that memo to you?
You would probably want to address that to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, and forward it to Derek.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any other topics we need to cover? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Seems awfully final. Yeah, I second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. And Ron, Derek, Reese, thank you very much for your assistance, and we really appreciate it. Ben, I'm not sure who you are. I haven't met you before, but thank you also. And Brian and Larry, thank you.